Uncle Ken at the Wicket. Uncle Ken, Dad's younger brother, was living with us at Kanpur. Aunt Emily, the eldest of my 3 aunts, lived at Lucknow with her husband and 3 children. One day, Uncle Ken announced that he was going to Lucknow to stay with Aunt Emily. She has 3 children and a school to look after, said Granny. Don't stay there too long.
She doesn't mind how long I stay,
said Uncle Ken grumpily, and off he went. Uncle Ken's visit to Lucknow proved very interesting and memorable. We heard about it much later. When Uncle Ken got down at Lucknow railway station, a large crowd gathered around him. Everyone was waving to him and shouting words of welcome in Hindi, Urdu and English. Before Uncle Ken would make out what it was all about, his neck was piled high with garlands of marigold. He could hardly open his mouth to say a word. A young man came forward and announced,
"The Gomti Cricketing Association welcomes you to the historical city of Lucknow."
Then he quickly led Uncle Ken to a car that was waiting outside the station for them. Uncle Ken had no idea of where he was being taken and why he was being given such a VIP treatment. While he was yet wondering about all this, the car drove into the sports stadium. Only then did Uncle Ken realize that he was expected to play in a cricket match. What had happened was, in fact, like this. Bruce Hallam, the famous English cricketer, was touring India and had agreed to play in a charity match at Lucknow. The previous evening, he was in Delhi and had gone to bed with an upset stomach. So, he hadn't been able to catch the train. He had sent a telegram to the organizers of the match in Lucknow, but they didn't get it. The cricket fans of Lucknow had arrived at the station in droves to welcome the great cricketer. And by a strange coincidence, Uncle Ken looked a lot like Bruce Hallam. He had even a bald patch on the crown of his head. And he was wearing a blazer also, hence all the confusion. Uncle Ken received a rousing reception and a magnificent breakfast at the stadium. Now he felt that it would be very unsporting on his part if he refused to play cricket for them.
If I can hit a tennis ball,
he mused,
I ought to be able to hit a cricket ball also.
And luckily, he had a white shirt and a pair of white trousers in his suitcase. The Gomti team won the toss and decided to bat. Uncle Ken was expected to go in at number 3, Bruce Hallam's normal position. He soon found himself walking to the wicket. The first ball he received was short-pitched. He was able to deal with it in tennis fashion. It went to the mid-wicket boundary. The crowd cheered lustily. The next ball hit Uncle Ken on the pad. He was right in front of his wicket. He should have been given out leg before wicket, LBW, but the umpire hesitated to raise his finger. After all, hundreds of people had paid a lot of money to see Bruce Hallam play, and it would be a shame to disappoint them.
Not out,
said the umpire. The third ball took the edge of Uncle Can's bat and passed through the slips. It went to the third man boundary.
Lovely shot!
Exclaimed an elderly gentleman in the pavilion.
A classic late cut.
Uncle Ken had another 4 runs to his name. Then it was over. And the other batsman had to face the bowling. He took a run off the first ball and called for a second run. Uncle Ken thought 1 run was more than enough, but when the other batsman started running, he couldn't refuse to run. He was halfway down the pitch when a fielder hit the wicket. There could be no doubt this time. Uncle Ken was run out. Uncle Ken returned to the pavilion to the sympathetic applause of the crowd.
Not his fault.
Said the elderly gentleman.
The other batsman shouldn't have tried to take 2 runs. There wasn't a run there.
Uncle Ken enjoyed a hearty tiffin. Then he slipped out of the stadium, took a tonga and reached Aunt Emily's house. He was just in time for the second lunch with Aunt Emily's family. It was presumed at the stadium that Bruce Hallam had left early to catch the train to Allahabad, where he was expected to play in another charity match. Aunt Emily, a forceful woman, fed Uncle Ken for a week. Then she put him to work in the small boys' dormitory for her school. It was several months before he was able to save up enough money for a ticket to Granny's place. But he had the satisfaction of helping the great Bruce Hallam to add 8 runs to his grand total. The total scorebook of the Gomti Cricketing Association has recorded this feat for all time.